backgrounding goes on in every single political party, and I'll defend Kieran for airing the grievances of people in the Liberal Party, because in the context of the story that has happened, it is entirely legitimate. And, you know, I'm sure backgrounding comes from your party and the Labor Party and every other party as well at various points in time. I guess the point is, though, that you are suggesting that what they have said is totally made up. All of this is a lie. Well,
that's where I was getting to, Caleb, just to validate that. If the National Party didn't have any problem with this legislation, then why did we have, on more than 3 or 4 occasions, the shadow ministers appropriate to this legislation come and try not only to explain it, but then get further concessions on that legislation? The reality was they knew that we had a problem with it because we had it amended 2 or 3 times, and we had those shadows ministers trying to give the National Party room comfort. So to make an assertion that there was no concern about the National Party having a problem with this freedom of speech element of this bill, when their own shadow ministers sat in our party room, I think actually demonstrates that we had expressed that. We had expressed that concern and those issues around that element of the bill. It was made very clear on Sunday that we were very comfortable with the migration element of it, but our party room, after the Sunday party room meeting that we had very grave concerns about the freedom of speech impingement that we needed to work through. And that's why we're up front. That's why those shadow ministers were called, those Liberal shadow ministers were called to the National Party room to explain and to actually, to their credit, I've got to say, Michaela Cash and John O'Dunham did an outstanding job in getting amendments for us that got us closer to getting some comfort. But I think the actual real proof is in the validity of the actions of what the National Party did. We have acted with utmost integrity all the way through. And that is why those ministers were called to our party room to front it, to explain it, to get other amendments. And that's why they knew, quite openly and honestly, that we had an element of concern around that part of the legislation.
Has this, do you think, to some degree, been a free kick to the Prime Minister, the implosion of the coalition? Because he certainly sees it that way. He said today on the ABC that he's not even concerned about the chaos in the coalition or ex-coalition anymore. How do you form another government on the right side of politics without a coalition?
Well, and look, we're not closing the door on a coalition down the track, but the reality is that when we weren't afforded proper process to be able to express our concerns, to debate that in a forum with even our Liberal colleagues, and that is the normal process. When that wasn't afforded, then obviously there was an avenue.
We haven't got long left, David, but would you agree that it has been it's been a bit of a blinder of a week for the Prime Minister in light of all of this? Because it's taken all the heat off of him and all the talk is about you very quickly.
And that's the point. It didn't need to be. There was an out that was provided by the National Party that basically said this wasn't proper process because of the shortened period. So there was no point in persecuting 3 National Party senators who had the courage of their conviction to vote against an impingement on freedom of speech. Why would you take that away? There was actually a win for everybody to say, look, it was a different process. Those senators respected the views and expressed the views of the National Party room that we couldn't support that bill. It didn't go through the normal processes. So why actually, when you were told that it was going to cause a problem, go forward and sack those 3 ministers? That could have been averted, and that's the sad and disappointing part of this.
And this story isn't going away. David, we'll keep in touch. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.